The broadcast is now starting. All attendees are in listen-only mode.
Well, I've been unmuted. That's what Brenda just told me. So welcome to the next approximately 45 minutes. Could be 50 because I'm not in a hurry, and I hope you're in a quiet kind of place where you can just absorb this. And I am going to put this webinar up on our internet so that either you or other people are able to view it. This is the second webinar I've done on insurance and PPOs, and I have modified it a little bit. Not a great deal, but I've added a few things to it. So welcome, and I hope you're in a calm place, in a good place, and we can just, I wish we could sit in a kind of a room and visit together. But anyway, so thank you for being here. And Brenda, would you please introduce, we've got a couple questions as we go. I'd like you to introduce Brenda Penwell, who's the Senior Vice President or President of the Center, and we've been together, working together now for 28 years, working one-on-one, and Brenda is a coach, she's a trainer, and she also is a planner of the curriculum. So Brenda, please take it.
Great, thank you, Dr. Schuster. Good evening to all of our webinar attendees. I certainly, too, want to thank you all for your interest in Dr. Schuster's webinar this evening, Dental Insurance, PPOs, Corporate Dentistry, and You. We do try to make these webinars as interactive as possible, and we do that by interjecting some poll questions periodically. So when you see a poll question come up, I'll leave it up on the screen for somewhere between 30 seconds and a minute just to give everyone time to participate. We do really appreciate your responses to these questions, as they're really part of our ongoing learning, as well as our opportunity to really stay current with what today's dentists are experiencing. So again, we're going to appreciate your participation. So with that, let's go ahead and get started. Dr. Schuster, it's all yours.
Thank you, Brenda, and welcome back to all of you. So here's a few questions for you to think about, to digest, maybe write them out or process them a little bit. So what does your practice have to look like in order for you to love it? Who's in control of what that looks like? And the third question is, can you get to where you want to go with insurance corporations in control? Those are three questions for you to think about and for you to answer on your own, and to think deeply about it. So what kind of a practice fits you? Your values, your temperament, your personality? Is it a small practice? Let's say 2 operatories, 2 assistants. Is it a medium-sized practice? 3 operatories, a staff of 4, or is it a large practice, 3,000 or 4,000 square foot practice with multiple operatories, multiple hygienists? You see, I don't know what's right for you. That's not my job, is to tell you what's right for you. Do you want 2 staff members, 5 staff members, 10, 20, 30? I talked to a dentist a week or so ago from Ohio that had 32 staff members. Interesting, okay? How many operatories do you want to work in? How many places can you be at one time? 3 operatories, 4, 5? I don't know, 6, 10, 20? I don't know what's right for you, okay? I only know what's right for me. How many hygienists? 1, 2, 3 hygienists to check, okay? 4, 5? I don't know what's the right number. I only know what's right for me. Is it a $500,000 a year practice? Is it $1 million a year practice? Is it 2? Is it 5 million gross? I don't know. I don't know what's right for you. I only know what's right for me. Is it 250 take home? Is it 500? Is it 750? Is it $1 million? I don't know how much money you need to live. I don't know. I only know what's right for me. How many days a year do you want to work? You want to work 10 days a month? You want to work 12 days a month? You want to work 15 days a month? You want to work 20 days clinically a month? I don't know how many days a year you want to work. But I think these are important questions that need to be asked, and they ultimately need to be answered for you to determine, what is right for you. Is it single tooth dentistry, which is about 90% of the dentists in the United States doing a tooth at a time? Is it quadrant dentistry to a treatment plan? Is it total care? I don't know. It depends upon your goals, your aspirations, your training, your commitment. I don't know what's right for you. Is it absolutely no insurance of any kind? Is it, filling out insurance forms for people? Is it some insurance, some PPO? Is it totally insurance dependent? That's going to vary a great deal. I don't know what's right for you, but I hope that you know what's right for you. So what I do understand is commitment strengthens over time, but begins with a single decision. So I'm going to talk a little bit about trends. I don't know what your future is, but I think it's a question that must be asked. I think also the issue of what does the next 10 years look like for you? Okay? Where are you now? Where am I now? Where do you want to go? This is really important because, whenever you start from anywhere, irrespective of where you are in life, you have to know where you are. And also you have to have some sort of a destination, some sort of a direction, okay? And how are you going to get there, And so it's important to ask, okay, if I'm going on this trip, I'm going on this journey, if I'm in practice, what is my experience, my day-to-day experience of being in practice? And what happens when I get it? And what happens if I don't get it? I think really what we're dealing with is an entire quality of life issue. It's not just about the practice. It's about how I feel when I go home. It's about how I feel when I get up. And I think it's the same for you. I think we're similar in that regard. But what I do know is that since 1971, dentists have been losing control and gradually over time giving up more and more of their freedom. They've been giving up financial freedom. And the latest research from the ADA suggests that the income of dentists since 1995 is down 16%. That's the net income of dentists is down 16%. What about time freedom, the ability to choose when you're going to work, how much you're going to work? And the issue of relationship freedom. And what I mean by relationship freedom is that you have freedom of choice to choose the patients you're going to work with, and your patients have freedom of choice to choose you if they want to as the dentist that they work with. And so these three things lead to personal freedom, the sense, that I'm not, tied to the chair, the sense that I haven't gone to bed with the insurance company, that the insurance company doesn't own me. Okay? All of these issues, in my belief, are why we went into dentistry in the first place. We went into dentistry for an opportunity for financial freedom, to run our own life, to establish relationships with the people we wanted, and for personal freedom, and the freedom to do what we wanted to do with our lives. Okay? This was, so to speak, the American dream. And I'm saying to you, it doesn't take 20 years to get it. All you have to do is choose it in a very short period of time. You'll have it. Okay? So I guess for each of us, these questions are more or less meaningful. Is the opportunity for financial freedom important to you? Is the opportunity for time freedom important to you? Is the opportunity for relationship freedom important to you? In other words, for you to be able to establish an open and free relationship with your patients unencumbered by outside forces. Is personal freedom important to you? You see, some of these things, some of these freedoms are more important to some people than they are to others. Is the opportunity to love your practice and life important to you? Got off a phone today with a young dentist who is getting ready to buy a practice, and all of these issues I just mentioned are very important. And as he looks at the landscape, he says, there's too many dentists that have already kind of sold their souls to money and to insurance companies, and that's not the life I want. Okay? So as Andy Stanley said, it's your direction, not your intention, that determines your destination. Well, that statement is still rather incomplete, okay? And so I want to address it a little bit, okay? So I don't know, as you're listening to me and you're walking through your day-to-day life experience and practice, I don't know what level of commitment you have to create the life and practice you want, okay? I do know that ideas are not enough without commitment and without systems. And I've had this statement on the back of my professional card for somewhere around 35 years. Commitment is the willingness to be uncomfortable to produce results. Because if you stay in your comfort zone, the chances are you're going to keep doing what you've always done. So all of us are always making choices. When we sign up for the PPOs, we're making a choice to care for the masses. When we step on the other side, we're making a significant choice to care for individuals. Because the reality is every person is different. There are no two people that are the same. They don't have the same values. They don't have the same beliefs. They haven't had the same experience. They don't have the same attitudes. So when you sign up for PPOs, you're making a conscious choice to regress, to stay where you are and actually go backwards. When you move and you make a choice towards private care, you're choosing to make progress. You're choosing to progress. Someplace in between the two often is people that are trapped in the middle. They really haven't decided what to do. So in managed care and insurance, the focus is on disease. In private care, the focus is on health. These are two totally different paths. In managed care, the choice on the part of the patients is to abdicate their responsibility. In private care, the choice on the part of patients is choosing to take responsibility for themselves, for their health, for their life, okay? So managed care is insurance-centered. And what I mean by insurance-centered, the locus of decision-making power is within the insurance company. It is not within your hands and certainly not within the hands of the patient. In a private care practice, the locus of decision-making power is within the patient, not within the dentist. The dentist doesn't decide for the patient. The patient chooses to decide for themselves. This is so different that I can hardly even talk about it in a reasonable tone of voice. So in managed care, the locus of power in decision-making is in the hands of the insurance company. In other words, the patients have abdicated responsibility for making choices themselves. On the other hand, on a private care side, the locus of power in decision-making is within the patient. So what is your direction? I think your direction, like my direction, will come as a result of what I believe, what I value, that is what you believe and what you value, what is most important to you, and the degree of determination and commitment that you have to achieve it. Okay? So managed care and PPOs are so different that it's hard to describe. Private care is decreased stress. Managed care is increased distress. It's lower profit. Its focus is on teeth and procedures. It's increased net profit on the private care side, and the focus is on the patient. Okay? There's lower fulfillment on the insurance managed care side. There's higher fulfillment. The two environments, and trust me, I'm not just sitting here behind a microphone. I'm in at least one dental practice a month, and mostly two a month, visiting with dentists, interviewing staff members, being in the office, seeing what's going on, feeling the atmosphere, feeling the environment. And the environment in a disease-centered managed care practice is not very enjoyable. It's not fun. So there's a lot of conflict. There's a lot of distress. The dentists don't feel understood and appreciated. There's more to it than just money, okay? So it's less fun. Where over on the private care side, it's more joy. Now, when you're stuck on the managed care side, you don't even believe that this is possible. So on the managed care side, you produce $1 million, you net 150. You know, I talked to a dentist recently in the last month or two. He's producing $1.5 million and paying taxes on $125,000. He's running out of steam. You know, he's in distress. He doesn't know what to do, okay? He's a great guy. He's a good person. He's just trapped in the wrong model, got too much debt, moving too fast, okay? So on the private care side, you produce $1 million, you net 450. Fewer patients, more relaxed, more in balance, working approximately 30% fewer hours. It's hard for people to believe when you're trapped in the managed care side that this is what's going on right now. So you do a $1,000 service in managed care, you get paid $700 because you got to discount your fees. Your overhead is $650, so you net $50. On a private care side, you do a $1,000 service, you get paid $1,000. Your overhead is still $650, but you net $700 or $350. That's a 700% difference. I mean, it just doesn't make any sense, okay? Not from an emotional standpoint, not from a physical standpoint, not from a financial standpoint, and not from a spiritual standpoint to get stuck on the left side. So yes, I am biased, okay? I admit that I'm biased, and most people know that I am, but there's a lot of people that don't believe it's possible, and they're absolutely correct. If they don't believe it's possible for them, it's not, okay? So this is what an office design looks like in a insurance-driven PPO office, okay? We got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12 treatment rooms. We don't really have much space to talk to people, but we got a lot of space to fix people. When we look on the other side, it's a smaller office, more designed for individual treatment, more designed for an experience, more designed for space to communicate with people, to talk to people, to relate to people. It's not all about fixing teeth. Eventually we got to fix teeth, but believe me, there's a lot more going on per patient in one of these rooms than there is in these rooms. It's a totally different kind of experience. So most dentists tell me when I talk with them that they want fewer PPOs or none. They tell me that they feel like they're losing control and freedom, and they're also losing the opportunity to create wealth. They're moving faster and faster, running faster and faster, running between rooms, checking multiple hygienists, and wondering at the end of the day where the day went and what did they do. We have to understand that we're in a period of tremendous flux and change. And so what worked in the past is no longer going to work in the future. So there's no cheap, quick, and pain-free way to achieve your freedom. Not for me, not for you. You have to be committed to your freedom and committed to your patient's freedom and take 100% responsibility and not give up. And what I said earlier is what got you here won't get you there. What got us to where we were prior to 1995, 2000 is not the same world we're living in today. Everything's changed. And so what happens is with this change in the culture, it brings on chaos. The first thing it does is it increases the compression of time and space. Everything moves faster. In other words, the world is really closer together because of the internet. As influence increases in any culture, so does the pressure of time. In the late 1970s, it was about doing more with less. Today, it's about doing more with more, faster and faster. The whole culture is moving faster. The internet is what has closed the gap. It has compressed the time. It's also compressed the space. It's brought us closer and closer and closer together. But it's also brought, for all of us, increased complexity. The word that's commonly used is disruptive technology. In other words, the more and more technology that is innovated, the more and more the culture becomes complex. And it's complex because people have an explosion of choice. If you doubt this, go to a website called www.metabid.com. And what's happening now, people are going to websites and they're bidding on various medical procedures. They're bidding on eye surgery. They're bidding on nose surgery. They're bidding on hips. They're bidding. It's a fascinating period of time because medicine has really relegated itself to the body parts business. Disease-centered medicine is a one-way ticket to hell. We need it when we need it, but there's nothing about medicine that helps anybody become healthy. Today, nobody has a monopoly or a product or service monopoly for long. Competition in everything. But what it's provided, and this is really important for us all to grasp, me included, it's increased the demand for intangibles, okay? The rising influence shifts the demands of patients towards emotional fulfillment, towards experience and transformation, no matter how routine the service. Today, it's not just a matter of service, it's a matter of experience. Okay? And those people that understand how to create an outstanding experience, that's why I don't call it case presentation, I call it the new patient experience, okay? And the new patient experience is the single most important thing that ever happens in any dental practice. And the idea of it is to create some form of transformation in the mind of the patient from routine everyday disease care to move towards health care. So the increased sophistication of technology, processes, and systems creates even more complexity. Okay? Every time we up our technology, we increase our levels of complexity. So whether it's making cars, or financing homes, or controlling choices people make, this is important, controlling choices people make. There's an ever-increasing legislation and attempts to control your life more than we've ever experienced in America before. The insurance companies are doing everything that they can do to control you, and now the insurance is colluded with the United States government to take control over you as well. We've never seen this in our culture before. So choices determine dentist destiny. So that the question has to be asked of all of us now. When I ask these questions, I'm framing myself in there with you as well. Okay? Are you a prisoner of the system, that is the insurance system, or are you a prisoner of your own thinking? So many, many, many dentists find themselves now previously tied to the chair. Now they're gradually losing their freedom. And then in the process of losing their freedom, they're losing the sense of opportunity and hope for the future. So this is kind of a famous photograph. It's alluded to as the hag, okay? Covey used it in his book. It's been around for nearly 100 years. So the question here is, what do you see? And depending upon your point of view and perspective, you either see the old hag or you see the beautiful young woman. It just depends on your perspective. It depends upon my perspective. So what you see influences how you feel, which influences what you do, which determines what you get. Another way of saying it is we all see things differently. That the world is what we make of it. That everyone wears, quote, rose-colored glasses. In other words, we're all looking at the world through our own mind. Okay? One of the statements I'd like to make is you look with your eyes, but you see with your mind. And what you don't know, you don't see. So one of the things that is important when you think of transformation, we think of a shift, a paradigm shift in thinking. So the paradigm is a way an individual perceives, understands, and interprets the world. Okay? It's a mental map. It's neither good or bad. It just is. Okay? But it's important because for too many people, they're not paying attention to what's going on, and they're going from home to the office, they're complaining what's going on, but gradually and slowly, they're dying. Okay? So what the insurance companies are counting on is for you to give in and give up. Because corporations, insurance companies are part of corporations, are attempting to control us, and they're attempting to control our patients' choices. So if you choose to be part of the system, in reality, you're a prisoner of both. You become a prisoner of the insurance system, but you've also become a prisoner of your own thinking. I am not passing judgment on this. I'm not telling you what to do. I'm not trying to tell you what you should do. I'm just trying to say that we're either a prisoner of our thinking or a prisoner of the system. I found it interesting that I chose the David and Goliath story to show this 2 weeks ago, and then I'm on an airplane and I'm flying, and I look at a book called David versus Goliath, and it talked about this story. And of course, we all know who won, right? The David won. We always have to remember, we all think that just because Walmart's huge, that there's no other businesses that sell the things that Walmart can survive. Well, they do. They're thriving, some of them. Okay. We often think, well, only McDonald's, because it's a commodity. Only McDonald's can survive. Well, other businesses are selling hamburgers and surviving. So what we have to really realize, and I know you've heard about this, the Pygmalion effect, or the self-fulfilling prophecy. Because you see and I see things differently. So if you believe you can, you can't. And of course, if you believe you can't, you can't. It's just that simple. If you believe you can, you can. You will. You will find a way, or make a way, as I have. And many have. Or if you believe you can't, you can't. Okay? So it goes like this. Our beliefs about ourselves in the world influence our actions, which impact others' beliefs. Okay? In other words, you and I, influence other people. In fact, we even influence our own outcomes. If I walk into a meeting with a new patient, and I'm walking in thinking this patient doesn't care about their teeth, can't afford to do anything with their teeth, doesn't value their teeth, that patient is more than likely going to end up saying, I can't afford it, I can't do it, because my own thought process and my own behavior and the environment I work in is impacting, okay, the outcome. Okay? I am influencing the outcome. I'm not determining the outcome, but I certainly can influence it. So my attitudes, my beliefs impact everything that happens in my life, how I feel about myself, how I feel about my work, how I feel about the people I work with, how I behave towards the people I work with, how I behave towards my patients, my wife, my kids, everything. What I believe tremendously impacts the outcome of my life and the people that surround me. No, it's not just about positive mental attitude. And it's not just about negative mental attitude, but I'm telling you, you are a tremendous influence. The most important influence in your life is what you think and what you believe, okay? Because what you believe, positive or negative, impacts you, your team, your patients. So these are the laws of structure. I did not make them up. These are the laws of the universe, okay? Now, so structure is your belief system, okay? Understand that all energy in the universe goes where it's easiest to go. So my buddy Robert Fritz, who wrote the foreword to my book, The Science of Creating Wealth, simply suggests that electricity, water, air, money, time, and people, it all goes however we structure it. So when you look at this picture, the structure is the riverbed. The water goes where the riverbed guides it. Okay? So the underlying structures, your money structures, your time structures, your organizational structures, your new patient structure, your marketing structure, your people, and your reason to exist are all structures. Your belief system is a structure, determines your path of least resistance. In other words, what you believe determines the direction that you go. Now, the great thing is that whenever you decide, or whenever I decide, you can change the fundamental underlying structures of your life and practice. So, as Andy Stanley has said, he got it partially right. It's your direction, not your intention, that determines your destination. But you, your systems and structures determine both the direction and the destination. So when we talk about direction, who does the directing? Okay? Who does the controlling? Who does the determination of the direction that you're going to go? Well, either you do or you abdicate it to somebody else. And I'm simply saying, from one dentist to the other, don't give up. Because the insurance companies are counting on you giving up. They're counting on you to being lazy. They're counting on you to be asleep. They're counting on you to give up and give in so they can control you and take away your freedom. It's that simple. Okay? And if you don't believe that, and if you don't agree with that, then we need to talk. Okay? We need to have a serious heart-to-heart talk. Because it's all about manipulating you, and it's all about manipulating your patients, and that ain't no bull. Now, here's the deal. As we speak today, 9.2%, literally 1/10 of all physicians, have no contract with any managed care company. Okay? And about 20% of all dentists have no contracts with any managed care. 19 point some percent. Okay? So 80% do, 20% don't. So what I'm suggesting for you is you have to choose your future, right? You choose PPOs or you choose private care, one of the two. We call it private care because the locus of decision-making power is within the patient. PPOs, the locus of decision-making power is within the insurance company. So this is a poll question. This is the only poll question we have today, and we're definitely interested in your response. So Brenda, would you just take over for a couple minutes, okay?
Yes, absolutely. Okay, so I have just launched the first question. The question basically being, what is your future? How are you feeling right now? We've given you 5 different options there, ranging from everything is great, you feel that your life is perfect, all the way down to feeling that you're in a crisis mode and know that you've got to do something now. So I'm going to leave this question up here, you know, somewhere around 30 seconds, maybe a minute. I'll kind of watch and see how many people have participated, and when it looks like it's leveled off, we'll take it down. But we got about 50% that have voted so far.
Would you give the percentages or the numbers that have voted for great, everything's perfect, comfortable, I'm okay so far, I'm not really concerned about anything?
Yeah, well, I'm kind of watching it right now. 68% have voted, and it looks like it's kind of leveled off there. Okay. 5% say that life is perfect. 5% say that they're comfortable, that everything is okay so far. Okay. 63% are concerned. 63%
Wow,
saying
great.
concerned that they feel it happening now.
Yeah.
26% have said that it's critical and they believe that it's costing them their future.
Okay. Okay.
Okay, we're at 71% who have actually voted. So great great
Hey,
response.
thanks.
Thank you so
And you
much
know
for all
what?
of
You know
that.
what? This is so good for, and that's why it's important for us to give you the feedback, because, you know, you're not alone, following, and I'm not alone. And one of the things that I love about the work that I get to do is I get to actually talk to people and interview them and see where they are, and actually those that want help a few people move toward in the direction they want to go. But the really issue is that by doing this, we're getting really good feedback from you. So thank you for participating, because it helps us help you and other people that are really concerned and really want to do something about their future. So I want to compliment you for your involvement, and thank you. Okay. So what does the next 10 years look like? Okay. You know, you can't really predict the future. So I don't want you to think that I'm holding this. And what I've done you know, I've been working one-on-one with dentists for 36 years now. So it's not like I just came to the table yesterday, and I don't do a lot of lecturing. I do a lot of one-on-one work, coaching and teaching, and evaluating practices is really what I do today, and I love it. I got to be honest with you, I love it. Every dentist is different. Every individual situation is different. But I looked at what was going on in medicine, and I said, we had a private care conference in 1995, and I said within 10 years, dentistry will have caught up to medicine. And we're almost there. It's 18 years later, and only 10% of physicians are involved in managed care, but 20% of dentists are. And I guarantee you in 1995, that was reversed. It was maybe 80% of dentists were in private care and only 20% were in managed care. So what we're going to see is ever increasing enrollment in PPOs. At the same time, whereas even though inflation is low, the cost of delivering dentistry are going up. Lab fees are going up. People want to make more salaries. Taxes are going up. Insurance is going up, on and on and on. But there's going to be a gradual reduction of fees. And it's going to look very much like what's happened in medicine. It is already, in fact. And there'll be decreases in crowns allowed and definitive care allowed. I've often said, how many oral surgeons would go bankrupt tomorrow if PPOs decided not to reimburse for general anesthetic and for third molars? How many oral surgeons would be out of business in a month? And the percentage would blow your mind, okay? Because they depend upon that, because they can still make $1,400 taking out 4 third molars under general anesthesia. And they can do that 7 times a day. So it's not much fun, but they can make a living at it, okay? A good living. Increased competition at this level from corporate dentistry, from recent graduates who know nothing more than socialized dentistry, because that's what dental school teaches us to be, is socialized dentists. For those in PPOs, I think it's a dead-end street, okay? Because the intent of insurance companies and now the government is to drive down disease care costs. Now, that doesn't mean, and you all know this, that doesn't mean the incidence of diabetes has gone down, or heart disease has gone down, or cancer has gone down. In fact, it's going up. But what it does mean is the reimbursement for all of this is really under attack. So anybody that's trapped in this model, and that's all they're doing is fixing teeth as an example, they're going to get reimbursed less and less and less. And that's why I say it's a dead-end street, because you can only go so fast and fast and faster, okay? It's a path to nowhere. But it isn't just about the money. It's about how when you lose your freedom, you begin to lose your own self-respect. You put all this time into your education. You put all this time into dental school and graduate school, and many have gone on afterwards and taken many courses and invested in themselves and invested to be able to really render a really outstanding service, and they're really attempting to. But it costs money to do quality care. It costs us money to do quality care. And so the people that are in hybrid practices, they're so to speak doing both. Okay, they kind of got their foot in both camps. The intent is to increase the percentage of private care patients, obviously. Private care patients are not limited to single-tooth dentistry or disease care. They can have the care to protect and preserve and prevent rather than simply repair the immediate damage. So the emphasis should be on doing more complete and comprehensive diagnosis. Now, I want to just take a moment. Diagnosis isn't just what's wrong and fix it. It's why something is going on. So as we look at this, we look at here, each of you, like me, we have to choose our future. Are we going to be 100% managed care? Are we going to be 80-20? Are we going to be 50-50? Okay. So if you produced, I look at a 50-50 scenario, if you produce 50,000 at managed care fees, you're going to have an 85% overhead and your net is 75,000. If you produce 500,000 in a private care environment, your overhead's going to be 50%, your net's 250, so the net is really about 300% more. This is why dentists go to Pankey, they go to the Pankey Institute, they go to the Dawson Academy, they go to John Coyce, they go to Frank Spear, they go to LVI, they go to OBI, they go to the Texas Academy of Occlusal Studies. They go on the right side to improve themselves, to get better, so they can offer their patients more. Okay? So there's three things that it's going to take, three big picture things that it's going to take for you to get where you want and to be able to sustain yourself. Okay? First of all, beyond any shadow of a doubt, you've got to want it. Okay? You know, so this is not anything I have anything to do with. I only know what I want. Right? I only know what I believe. You have to really want it. You know, you have to really want your freedom. You have to really believe that you have to take control of your own future. You have to become 100% responsible for your outcomes. And you've got to believe it's possible. So if you have a limited desire or limited belief, it ain't going to happen. You have to know what you want and why you want it. So desire, belief, and commitment are the reinforcing energies or attitudes that create the movement, the action to move forward. Okay? So there's no scarcity of opportunity. There's only a scarcity of resolve to make it happen. So resolve, commitment, determination, grit, the desire to be in control of your own destiny are absolutely essential. Without those, nothing else makes any difference. Okay? The second is you form a new emotional relationship with somebody that inspires and sustains hope. Okay? We all do. Okay? The old adage is, when the student is ready, the teacher appears. We have to find our mentors, our teachers that are going to help guide us in the direction we want to go. So then you form a relationship, okay? And this new relationship helps you learn and practice and master the new skills in communication, the new skills in relationship, the new skills in organization and time management, the skills you need to create what you want, to take control of your life so that you can move up, okay? You can keep growing and moving up. To be effective, the teacher, the guide, the sage, the mentor must have had success on the same path you want to go. If that individual hasn't done it, and they're just talking about it, but they haven't walked the walk, it's going to be very difficult for that individual to take you and help you go where you want to go. And the third thing is that new relationship, that new process of learning helps you think in new ways about your situation in your life. In other words, a paradigm shift in thinking precedes all successful action. It was Einstein that said, the problems that you have today cannot be resolved with the same level of thinking. So our thinking changes, and it doesn't always change overnight, but it can change very quickly. I've seen the thinking on the part of a dentist change in a 2 or 3 day retreat setting. I've seen their whole paradigm shift occurring. Okay? I see it quite often on a regular basis. So we have to remember that your practice is a structure, like a building. Okay? It's composed of systems. And each system impacts the overall performance of the whole. And each of us has to remember that everything we do has a consequence. There's an outcome. Nothing happens by accident. Okay? One small action, such as signing up with a PPO, has profound effects and consequences on you and your practice. Okay? It instantly makes you a low-price, high-volume provider because that's the only way it works. Okay? If you're getting reimbursed $600 for a $1,000 service and somebody's taken $400 of the profit out of it and you got 50 or 60 bucks in there after, if you look at it, you're going to be doing it, you're going to really be pushing the volume to do it. You're going to go faster and faster, and the patients are going to accept less and less dentistry, and you're going to wonder what's going on. Okay? So in any system, one small, highly leveraged strategy induces the movement, okay, in the right direction. So a small change snowballs with even more small and incremental changes resembling compound interest. Okay? So small changes in the wrong direction amplify negative effects, which are called in systems thinking a vicious cycle, that things continue to get worse. And some of you may have heard me say at one time or another, there's no right way to do a wrong thing. And so when you start with a small lie, a small untruth, it takes another untruth to make up for it. And pretty soon, the whole thing is a lie. The whole thing is going in the wrong direction. Things start off badly and they get worse over time. You know, they don't get better on their own. Okay? So there's nothing wrong with making changes as long as you understand the consequence of the change you're making in both your practice and your life. There's nothing wrong. In fact, we all have to make change. We all have to institute things. But we have to be sure we're instituting and doing those things that are moving us in the direction we want to go. We just have to understand a couple things. Every action has a purpose, and every action has a consequence. But we got to be paying attention to the consequences of our choices. Okay? So every action does have a purpose, but every action also has a consequence. Every inaction has a consequence. So I'm sitting on the phone, and I'm having a conversation with a 63-year-old dentist that met me 30 years ago, and he never got engaged with the work of the center. And he's been watching me for 30 years. So at 63, he's tired, he's worn out, he doesn't have the energy to do what he needs to do. He has the consequences of inaction and to me, as I am speaking to you right now, that is one of the saddest things that I experience when I talk to people. People that have literally given up on themselves. This is one life. You have one life to live. And every choice that you make determines the experience of your life, okay? And you know, the issue of this is you don't get second chances here, okay? When it's over, it's over. It's really sad. You need to understand that every action that you take, every action I take has a consequence. And every inaction, everything I don't do, everything I ignore, everything I don't pay attention to, everything I procrastinate has a consequence as well. So in every human system, in every human or organization or nature, the right small incremental changes can create huge benefits. And they can create those benefits in a hurry, or they can create problems, okay? And so my buddy Robert Fritz, actually this statement was from MIT, but I've heard Robert use it many times because they were partners together. in a business, and they both were engaged at MIT. Structure determines behavior, determines results. Okay? So the structure of anything produces its result. And I have gotten to make this statement, and I want you to think about it, and I don't believe I put it on here. The results you're getting are a result of perfect structures that you've created. In other words, you've created perfect structures to create the results you're getting. And if you could drop out of what you're doing, if you could step outside and look at it, you would realize that everything that we do, you do and I do, as a result of a system. So we've all heard this statement, give me a lever long enough and I can change the world. Well, we're really not trying to change the world. We're really trying to move ourselves in a direction. Okay? So the best results don't come from huge efforts, but they come from many small, well-focused actions. When you see the underlying structures, then you can influence and change the behavior which cause the results. Okay? So intent reveals desire, but action reveals commitment. Okay? And so I want you to really understand something. Okay? I hope you're still here. I hope you're paying attention. Nobody changes their beliefs or outcomes by thinking. They only change by action. So first you have to start. You have to take the action. You have to learn what to do. And then you begin to get results. And then you say, wow, this works. And so the new action creates a new level of thinking. And that's how things change. You don't sit in a room. I don't sit in a room and change my thinking. Right action produces results which change belief. Let me say that again. The right action, which produces the outcome or result that you want, which changes your beliefs. So action comes before beliefs. Now, if the takeover of insurance in dentistry had happened in 1 month, we would have organized in Carefree, Arizona, and chosen our guns and tanks, and we would have mobilized to stop it. But it changes gradually. Starting in about 1992, 93, the gradual shift of indemnity insurance to HMOs and then to PPOs, which leads to a gradual eroding of goals and standards and more codependence on insurance on the patient's part and the dentist's part, which makes the whole process insidious. It's what's commonly referred to as the boiled frog syndrome. So we're all prisoners of our own making. What I believe, and I hope you do, is that we have a choice. We aren't predestined. We aren't predetermined. Okay? We all have been given an intellect and a will, and we can reason through things and think about what's good for us, what's good for our patients, what's good for our families and children on a short and long-term basis, and we can start thinking differently. But I know this as a fact. Wherever you are, wherever I am right now, is a result of choice and actions that you made and I made in the past. And wherever you will be in the future and wherever I will be in the future is a result of the choices and actions that I make today. So here are the options as I see it. You can make choices that create progress. Not perfection, but progress. Or you can make choices that instigate or create regression. You can make choices that instigate your growth. And you can make choices that hold you back. In other words, a choice to do nothing is a choice to hold you back. You can decide to take 100% responsibility for your life. Or you can give or relinquish control and responsibility to someone else. One path leads to mastery, the other path leads to average and mediocrity. So it's up to you. So you have to decide, like I have to decide, what is the good life? Okay? And here's a quote by Carl Rogers, a famous third force psychologist. The good life is a process. It's not a state, it's a direction. Okay? And if I'm moving in the direction that I want to move, if you're moving in the direction you want to move, then you got to feel good about every little thing you're doing. Following? If you're moving in a direction that isn't in harmony with you, it isn't in harmony with your values, then it's not going to feel good, okay? So I made this statement a long time ago: gaining control of time and money, that is taking total responsibility for your own time and money, are the two most important responsibilities you have in your life. Because if you don't, you won't evolve. You can't grow. You'll be stuck. So here's the last poll question. It's a yes or no answer. Yes, I want a private one-on-one complimentary SWOT analysis to first see where I am and see where I'm headed. S is for strengths, others. W is for resistances or weaknesses. O is for what opportunities are there. T is for the threats. And remember, there's no obligation on your part or mine to do anything else. So if you're ready, please let us know, and we'll schedule a one-on-one half-hour, 45-minute complimentary discussion with each other on your future, okay? So if you would,
thank you, Dr. Schuster. I'm watching the progression of the poll question. Kind of slow coming here. We've had about 30% have voted so far, so we'll leave it up a little while longer. Okay, we're almost to 50% having responded.
thank you. I think the most important thing is a person's belief and motivation, whether they get where they want to get or not.
And it looks like it's leveled off, so I'm going to go ahead and close the poll.
Thank you all for being here, and for those of you that have asked for a call, I'm looking forward to it. And we'll use these questions as our guide. Where have you been? Where are you right now? That is, what's your situation? Where do you want to go? What's important to you? How do you think you'll get there? So what happens if you get what you want? That is, what happens if you get there? And what happens if you don't? We'll use those as our guide. So thanks for being here. I enjoyed it. I hope it's been meaningful for you, and I look forward to talking to you in the future. And thanks for your help, Brenda.
Great, and thank you, Dr. Schuster.